Hi there, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another informative Jamaica Magazine journey. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. Inside the pages today, government's fiscal policy for a strong economy, cervical cancer awareness, and the health benefits of adding seafood to your diet. Stay with us. These and more developments unfold, starting with our news of the day. It's right after this important message.
The Transport Authority for this renewal period has launched its online application system, and we at the St. James Taxi Association has found it to be very, very helpful. It saves time, it saves money, and it has also improved the service delivery to our membership. I want to encourage other associations out there who may for some reason be a little bit reluctant to come on board, get online, and increase the service to your membership. It's easy. ta.org.ja. Time is money. Renew online, save time. I am Deon Chance and I endorse this visit.
Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Monday, April 7, 2025. The Ministries of Health and Agriculture are urging members of the public to not buy or consume chicken products recently found washed up along the shore of Helsha in St. Catherine. Since the incident on Saturday, images have been circulating online of Jamaicans removing the chicken from a container on the beach. But the authorities are warning that the chicken does not meet Jamaica's safety standards and has not received the necessary import permits under the Animal Diseases and Importation Act. The chicken, labeled under the Brazilian brand Perdix, was not intended for the Jamaican market. The container fell from a vessel while in transit to the Cayman Islands. While afloat, the chicken products, confirmed to have been manufactured on October 24, 2024, were not maintained under proper temperature control and were exposed to the open sea, compromising their safety. Consumption of improperly handled poultry can lead to foodborne illnesses, including but not limited to salmonella and campylobacter infections, which can cause severe gastrointestinal distress. Members of the public are urged to purchase and consume poultry only from reputable, certified suppliers who adhere to proper food safety protocols. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, is in the Philippines pursuing a partnership to boost Jamaica's human resources for health. This follows the visit to Jamaica in January of Dr. Teodoro Herbosa, Secretary of Health for the Philippines. During that visit, the two countries signed a memorandum of understanding to collaborate on efforts for boosting their health workforce. Building on that, a statement from the Ministry of Health reveals that since Dr. Tufton's arrival in the Philippines, he has engaged in a series of bilateral discussions with his counterpart to work out the details of a training program for specialist nurses between the two countries. The parties are also discussing the possibilities for healthcare workers from the Philippines coming to work in Jamaica, as well as to have faculty members from the Philippines do training on the island. The four main operating theaters at the Kingston Public Hospital, KPH, are set to reopen this week after a comprehensive sanitization exercise to treat mold, as well as renovation of the spaces. Acting Chief Executive Officer of the KPH, Barrington Graham, confirms that critical repairs have been undertaken to restore full functionality to the theaters in a timely manner. Renovation work included wall repairs in the operating theaters, mold remediation treatment, the addition of new sluice equipment, servicing of the air conditioning unit, and replacement of defective doors. It was done at a cost of $24 million. KPH's CEO says the hospital's operations team, along with the regional technical department, will continue to carry out regular air quality tests to ensure that all infection control standards are maintained within the newly renovated operating theaters. The Ministry of Education has partnered with several United Nations organizations to launch a groundbreaking $3.7 million program to transform Jamaica's education sector. The Sustainable Development Goals (SDG) Joint Program on Digital Transformation for Education was recently launched at Cumberland High School in St. Catherine. It is set to benefit more than 450,000 students over the next 3 years. UNICEF representative to Jamaica, Olga Isaza, says it will focus on addressing learning gaps and the impact of violence in schools.
I am pleased to share that this SDG Joint Program was designed and co-created to help address these challenges. The initiative is aligned with the Ministry's need and strategic plans to help close the gap in education quality, student performance, teacher management, nutrition, and overall data management. Real struggles faced by children, teachers, and policymakers every day.
Education Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon emphasized the importance of collaboration in achieving Jamaica's educational goals.
As we move forward with the implementation of this joint program, let us remember that education is the foundation upon which we will build our country. With digital transformation, data-driven decision-making, and strong international partnerships, we're ensuring that every Jamaican child has the opportunity to succeed.
Minister of Labour and Social Security, Colonel Charles Jr., is urging more teachers to pursue training in special education. He made the call while speaking at the Early Stimulation Program's World Autism Awareness Day Symposium held recently at the Jamaica Conference Center.
Well, I want to encourage you. Maybe what we need to do, talk to the Minister of Labour and see if we can set up an internship to get all of you to work across Jamaica in ASP, get some exposure. Yes, and outside of the practicum, I think that anyone who wants to come and participate, we should be able to find some program or create a program where you can come and give back while you're learning, and maybe start to give back, learn, and also earn while you're doing your degree.
Minister Charles Jr. says the government is also committed to expanding the early stimulation program to combat stigma surrounding autism.
We need your continued support for us to promote inclusive education through training and resource development, for us to encourage businesses to adopt autism-friendly hiring practices, for us to raise awareness and to break the stigmas surrounding autism and other developmental disabilities.
And finally, Phase 2 of the Desmond Mackenzie Transitional Center for the Homeless in downtown Kingston is 98% complete. This was revealed by Minister of Local Government and Community Development Desmond Mackenzie, in whose honor the facility is named during a tour on Friday.
We are almost 98% complete with the second phase of the facility, where an additional 60 spaces will be provided for male and female to put a further dent in the problems we have as it relates to the homeless population.
The minister says he's happy with the upkeep of the facility, which was opened in September 2022 as part of the government's overall program to deal with a growing homeless population in the corporate area. With the new wing in commission, the facility will be able to house 100 persons. But even with the added capacity, Minister Mackenzie acknowledged the need for an additional transitional center in the corporate area.
And when I do speak in the sectorial presentation in May, I will make further announcements as to the next step that the government will be making in this direction.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.
Jamaica is being positioned on firm foundations for sustainable social and economic growth. Let's examine some of the government's fiscal policies that are creating Jamaica's strong economic footing.
let us examine the facts. Let's start with inflation. The table now being displayed shows that the average annual inflation under my administration has been 5.5%, the lowest under any administration since 1972. This is within the inflation target of 4 to 6%, despite the effect of global inflation resulting from the post-COVID supply chain shocks and geopolitical conflicts. Without the post-COVID inflation spike, we could safely project that our average inflation rate would have trended around 4.3%. Our current annual rate of inflation is now down to 4.4%, at the lower end of the Bank of Jamaica's target range of 4 to 6%. Through well-managed fiscal and monetary policy, we have brought inflation back down to sustainable level. My administration has instituted a robust policy of inflation targeting through disciplined monetary policy of the independent central bank, supported by responsible fiscal policies of the central government. Let's look at job creation. The unemployment rate is a historic low of 3.5%, almost full employment. In 2016, the youth unemployment rate was an alarming 32%. Now it is down to 11%. Since 2016, we have created 253,000 new jobs. That's an average of 28,000 new jobs per year. These are not just statistics. They represent real jobs impacting people, families, and communities. Young people who were once left out of economic opportunities, they now see the door of opportunity opening. Mothers and fathers who struggle to make ends meet are now securing stable employment. Let's now look at the exchange rate. The table now being displayed shows that during the past 9 years, the Jamaican dollar has depreciated by an average of 2.9% per year relative to the US dollar. This is by far the lowest rate of currency depreciation under any political administration since independence. Jamaica today has the most robust and transparent foreign exchange market in the region and the most stable FX environment since our independence. This stability did not happen by chance. It is the product of sound fiscal and monetary policies, increased investor confidence, and a growing economy that is attracting capital rather than creating capital flight. An important factor in achieving sustained currency stability is the country's balance of payment. The balance of payment is like the country's current account. It's our income statement with the rest of the world. It tracks the money flowing in and out of the country from trade, services, and remittances. The graph now being displayed shows the quarterly current account balances since 2012. It shows that we have recorded a surplus for 7 of the last 8 quarters under this administration. So we are well on track to achieve our 3rd consecutive year of a surplus in the current fiscal year. Our net international reserves now stand at a record high of $5.5 billion, representing 29 weeks of goods and service imports. This provides Jamaica with a crucial buffer against external shocks. In the past, we lived in fear of global financial crises, natural disasters, or commodity price swings that could send our economy into turmoil. Today, we stand prepared and protected with reserves that give us the confidence and security to navigate the uncertainties of the global economy. Perhaps one of the most remarkable indicators of our economic transformation is our debt-to-GDP ratio, which has fallen from unprecedented levels. When my administration took office, the debt-to-GDP ratio was over 120%. It is now approximately 68.7%, and we are on track to meet our target of 60% by March 2028. My administration has paid dividends to the people of Jamaica through tax reductions and givebacks. The budget that we have presented represents the 8th consecutive budget of no new taxes and the 10th consecutive budget of no net new taxes. We have done much more than not introduce new taxes. We have reduced taxes more than in any other period since independence. That is a fact. We have increased the income tax threshold. It is now $1.7 million and will move to $1.8 million and then to $2 million over the next 2 budgets. We reduced GCT from 16.5% to 15%, and we are reducing GCT on residential electricity by more than 50%. We reduced transfer tax on property from 5% to 2% and reduced the ad valorem stamp duty with a flat rate and replaced it with a flat rate of $5,000 per document. We increased the pension relief and age relief from $80,000 to $250,000 each, and we plan to increase this in the next budget to $350,000. We increased the turnover threshold required for registration to pay general consumption tax from $3 million to $10 million, and now we are increasing it further to $15 million. More relief for small business. We also increased the de minimis value for imported goods for custom purposes from $50 to $100, and the duty-free allowance for inbound passengers from $500 to $1,000. We reduced estate taxes, reduced the asset tax on financial institutions, abolished the asset tax on non-financial institutions, and abolished the minimum business tax. The achievements are not just incremental improvements, they are historic breakthroughs that have placed our beloved nation in the strongest economic position ever since gaining independence.
Here's an important reason you need to avoid or limit alcohol consumption. The World Health Organization (WHO) indicates that there is research evidence of a direct link between several cancers and alcohol consumption as a major contributing factor. It's been cited as a major contributing fact for cancer of the breast, colorectal, esophagus, liver, mouth, throat or pharynx, and voice box or larynx. There is no safe level of alcohol consumption, and the more you consume, the greater your risk. Protect your health. Limit your alcohol intake. Save your life. For help and more information, call the National Council on Drug Abuse (NCDA) at 876-564-HELP. That's 876-564-4357.
April is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month, dedicated to increasing public understanding of the disease which affects women and girls. Up next, one woman tells her story of the impact of cervical cancer on her life and the life-saving treatment she received through the public health system. Let's find out more.
She had her first child at 16. And the second just past the age of 19. Her life was going well until, at age 26, she started to experience excruciating pain with abnormally heavy periods. She dismissed it. Maybe it's stress, a miscalculation of the period start date, until one night, the pain became too unbearable to ignore.
When I went to the doctor, she said, do a pap smear. When I did the pap smear, 3 weeks after, she called me and said, what they see, the pap smear don't come back normal. I have to go and do a colposcopy.
Her doctor advised her to see a gynecologist. At the gynecologist, a test was done and an emergency colposcopy ordered.
A colposcopy is the insertion inside of it with a camera and all the tests to see what's happening. And when they did the biopsy and everything and they come back, I was literally at a stage 3 cervical cancer. At 26 with 2 children and at a stage 3 cancer, all you hear about cancer is death.
Determined to fight, she weighed her options. Her treatment of choice was radiation and chemotherapy at the Kingston Public Hospital.
Radiation burns your body. Can you imagine you cannot have a shower for at least 3 to 4 months. You just have to pat and do everything. You cannot eat normal food because because if you do, you're going to have constant diarrhea or vomiting because your system starts to change. But thank God for KPH, there were some good doctors there, very good doctors who encouraged me, who loved me through this, as I was one of the youngest young girl at KPH at that time, going through this and doing this treatment. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And I went through it. I prayed, thank God. He had a plan for me, and I'm here today. And I am here with this team saying, taking responsibility. It's not the government to take responsibility for you. I'm going to encourage parents to encourage your children to take care of them, to protect them from this act before it's too late. Some of us don't show signs. But look at me today. Thanks to KPH, thanks to the good doctors, thanks that at 26 I didn't have any money. So what would I do? Don't I would have died? And I hear people talk about the system. No. They are there to help us. I pay a little money. That's why I'm standing here today with the grace of God. Amen. Right? So go to the clinics and go with a good attitude and talk to your nurse and your doctor, and you will see how it works out. So remember, take responsibility for who? You and your... Okay.
For more information on cervical cancer caused by the human papillomavirus, call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. You may also email hpvinfo@moh.gov.jm.
All motorists, pedestrians, private and public operators, motorcyclists, it is important for us to drive defensively. Driving defensively saves lives, and we know that lives are most important to each and every one of us. It is important also to be trained and certified as a defensive driver, for it increases the likelihood that you'll prevent collisions on our roadways.
Easter or not, fish is always an excellent source for essential nutrients the body needs, so it's always a healthy option for adding to your menu idea. In the few remaining minutes of Jamaica Magazine, we'll look at the nutritional and health benefits of fish.
We all love our protein, chicken, beef, pork, but how often do we eat fish? Is it only at Easter time or when you're at the beach? Incorporating more fish into your diet can be very beneficial to your health. Compared to red meats and poultry, fish has far less calories and cholesterol.
It's the saturated fats and the trans fats that our bodies use to make cholesterol. And fish and seafood have very little saturated fat and trans fat. So in truth and in fact, that makes it a very healthy source of protein.
Fish also has iron, which is important for good reasoning and memory, iodine, which can prevent mental problems in children, and selenium, vitamins, and carotenoids, which are antioxidants. Who knew that we could get so many nutrients from fish? And that's not all. Incorporating fish into our diet can even reduce the chances of developing certain diseases.
Studies have in fact shown that people who have a higher intake of fish compared to other meat sources have less heart disease, they suffer from fewer mood disorders, and they have less cognitive decline with age, so less dementia.
This is due to omega-3 fatty acids, a nutrient that is only found in a few other food sources, such as walnuts and flax seeds. But oily fish, such as sardines, tuna, mackerel, salmon, and trout, are excellent sources of omega-3s, and are readily available at your convenience in supermarkets. So we want to add fish into our diet. In what ways can we do this?
So escovitch fish is one of our favorites. Now the onions and the carrots and the vinegar and the pimento, that's all fine. But we don't want to do a lot of deep frying. Deep frying adds calories. Nothing like a nice steamed fish, a nice roast fish. And when you roast your fish, you can stuff it with wonderful vegetables like callaloo and so on. So we have to find other ways. Many of us have broilers as a part of our stove and we've never utilized it. We don't know how it's used. And that gives us, I think, the closest taste to fried without adding a lot of oil.
So we've got different styles of cooking the fish, but what about flavor? Jamaicans love adding salt, but fish is already salty. Wouldn't that be too much sodium?
If we utilize other things like lime and lemon juice and or fresh seasonings or scotch bonnet pepper or onions or scallion, we can make our fish flavorful without adding a lot of extra sodium.
That sounds really tasty, but watch out for bones. Make sure to debone fish before giving your children. Even if the fish is bought deboned, check for fine bones with your fingers. If you're not careful, you could end up with a medical emergency. The recommended serving size per week is only 8 to 9 ounces of fish, or 2 to 3 servings per week. With an array of health benefits and a variety of ways to cook it, don't miss out on this lifestyle choice. Make a positive impact on your health by adding more fish to your diet.
Are you an entrepreneur producing an excellent Jamaican product or service? Did you know you can earn hard currency and more significant returns by exporting? Contact the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce to help propel your business along the export lane.
Everything you can produce, the Jamaicans overseas want it. We're not going to get rich by just bringing down the debt. We're going to get rich by exporting a lot more. So grow exports, create job opportunities, drive economic growth through exports to make Jamaica a richer and much more prosperous country.
Our half-hour journey through the pages of Jamaica Magazine ends right here for today, but please join us again tomorrow on this station for more news, features, and information you can use to live, work, raise families, do business, and of course retire in paradise. In the meantime, visit our website, jis.gov.jm for this and other offerings. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Theodore Henry. Be your best self. Until next time, take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.